Is joining Toastmasters really worth it? In this video, I'm going to give you the 5 best things and 5 worst things about Toastmasters in my personal opinion. So let's jump right into this list and let's start with the best. Number 5 on the best list is the leadership and development opportunities. So many people think Toastmasters is all about simply public speaking, but there's so much more to it than that. Each club has its own executive team, and they're responsible for organizing the club. There's a treasurer, there's a president, there's a vice president of marketing and communications. There's several different roles within the Toastmasters executive, and it's encouraged for club members to take these positions every single year. What you come to realize over the years is that Toastmasters not only helps you with your public speaking skills, but also makes you a better leader. Number 4 on the best reasons to join a Toastmasters club is that it is cost effective. There are membership dues that come with being a Toastmaster. However, compared to many clubs that exist out there, the Toastmasters fees are pretty reasonable for most people. I understand club dues vary depending on the region you're in, but my personal experience has been that the value I get from Toastmasters definitely outweighs the financial burden. Number 3 on the list of reasons you want to join Toastmasters, the best things about Toastmasters is that it reduces your anxiety when it comes to public speaking. The whole reason I chose to join Toastmasters in the first place was that for my 9-to-5 professional job, once per month, I was asked to speak in front of a group of about 60 people. I would be incredibly nervous about this. Leading up to that speaking opportunity, about 2 weeks beforehand, I would start getting anxious. And the anxiety would live with me for 2 weeks. Then I would get through the speech. It would go okay. But then I would only have about 2 weeks of stress-free mentality before I would start worrying about the next public speaking opportunity. And if you do the math, that is half of my life that I was spending worried and stressed about public speaking. What I found with joining Toastmasters was that it reduced that anxiety significantly. After I got used to the repetitions, public speaking didn't become such a scary thing anymore. It was something that I was used to doing on a regular basis. The second best thing about Toastmasters, in my opinion, is the constructive feedback you get every single meeting. What's unique about Toastmasters is that every single role within the club meeting is evaluated. So you are getting real-time feedback from a third party, another member in your club, who is telling you things that you did very well, which will boost your confidence, but also areas that you can improve, which is something you can keep in mind for the next time you get the opportunity to speak, which is hopefully your next Toastmasters meeting. It is so beneficial having a club of other members who are ready and willing to help you in your public speaking journey by giving you that feedback, because often we don't know our own weaknesses. We may not realize we have a particular bad habit when we're on stage, or that we use a certain crutch word constantly. Having other people who are able to point these things out for us is incredibly beneficial. The number 1 best thing about Toastmasters is the practice and repetition. The whole idea of Toastmasters is every single meeting, you get the opportunity to stand in front of the other Toastmasters and speak. The goal is to have every single attendee speak every single meeting. So if you are doing that once a week or once every 2 weeks, that is great repetition. And I always give the example that public speaking and becoming a stronger public speaker is kind of like working out. You can read all the books and watch all the content, but at the end of the day, until you put in the reps, until you start actually going out there and speaking and practicing, you're not going to see significant improvement. And it's the same thing with going to the gym. You can learn all sorts of theory about weightlifting, but until you actually start lifting those weights, you're not going to see the results. And on the flip side, I know people who have said, "Oh, I went to Toastmasters years ago. I don't need to go again." That is like saying, "I worked out years ago. I don't need to go again." Well, as we know, your body doesn't retain its shape over a decade, similar to public speaking. You may hang on to some of those key skills, but I have found personally, when I go an extended period of time without attending Toastmasters meetings, my public speaking skills do get a bit rusty. Okay, those were the best things about Toastmasters. So you're probably thinking, what on earth could put me off from not wanting to attend one of these meetings? But the reality is, I have brought friends with me to Toastmasters meetings, and not every single friend has decided to continue attending or to become a member of the club. A few have, but a few have decided that it's not for them. And so with this video, I wanted to be really transparent and also share the 5 worst things about Toastmasters, in my opinion, or the 5 hindrances or roadblocks that some people don't love about the program. Starting off with number 5 is the repetitiveness. Toastmasters meetings have a great structure. You have, in many meetings, your Toastmaster comes up and gives an introduction. You have roles like the grammarian, the humorist, or the joke master. Then you have speakers, then you have table topics, then you have evaluations after that in the second half of the meeting. And that is great. But most Toastmasters clubs keep the exact same agenda every single week, and of course they do. This makes sense. It makes it easy for club members to know what is coming, to prepare for their roles. They probably have to keep the agendas the same, but one of the downsides to that is that there is a level of repetitiveness. Every meeting you have people coming up explaining what the role is, why we have this role in Toastmasters, and that's fantastic for new members or people who haven't attended a meeting before. But for the Toastmasters who have been going for several years, it's the same descriptions time and time again, simply delivered by different club members. So if I had to give the number 5 downside, it would be repetitiveness. The number 4 worst thing about Toastmasters is membership fees. And you might be thinking, well, wait a second, you said the number 4 best thing was the low fees and low cost of joining. And that's true, but everyone has a different financial circumstance. And the fact is, Toastmasters still costs money. Each club is required to send a certain amount of the dues percentage to Toastmasters International. That's a mandatory cost. And for some people, that may be a significant charge, even if they're only paying it once a year or once every 6 months. It may be cost prohibitive for them. They may not be able to attend because that cost is too high. So I would say on the number 4 worst side is that there's still a cost to this program. It's not completely free, which does make sense why they have it that way, but the fact that that may limit some people from joining is something I would put on the negative. The third worst thing about Toastmasters, in my opinion, is the inconsistent feedback. So while it's great that we're constantly getting constructive criticism and thoughts on how we are doing as speakers, various club members are giving us those evaluations. Some club members are very experienced, some club members are brand new, and so there may be a level of inconsistent feedback. And just because you are told something that you should be improving on your speech doesn't mean that particular individual is 100% correct. That is their opinion. And so it's important as Toastmasters that we understand that we realize anyone can have a fair opinion, and it's good feedback to receive and decide how we're going to utilize that and improve as speakers in the future. But I will note that inconsistent feedback based on the fact you're getting evaluations from various members of the club is something that could be perceived as a negative. The second worst thing about Toastmasters is the limitations or restrictions. Here's what I mean by that. As an example, our club here in Kelowna, British Columbia, moved to hybrid meetings during COVID. During COVID, we transitioned to hybrid meetings. And that has been fantastic because it's been inclusive for other people who aren't able to make meetings in person. And I know this is the case for many clubs. Here's the downside. That does limit us as speakers in our stage area and where we can speak. Because if you go to a conference and you see a professional keynote speaker, many of them utilize the full stage. They move around. Some of them even walk into the crowd and interact. And in my opinion, being restricted to a small area, a small box where you can speak and not being able to move around the room is taking away an element of what can be really powerful skill when it comes to public speaking. So there is a bit of a limit and a restriction in that sense. On the other hand, there is sometimes a bit of a restriction by the formalities of Toastmasters. Some club members are very determined to keep the structure and the rules, which can be a good thing. It's important to have structure, but that may dial back from the creativity, from the spontaneity, from some of those things that make great speakers. And by having a meeting be too formal, sometimes it can dial that back. So that would be my number 2 negative, is somewhat of a restriction that comes with Toastmasters meetings. And the number 1 thing that I think is not great about Toastmasters is comfort. Many people, myself included, become comfortable with the format of Toastmasters, with the structure, with roles that we are strong at, and we may get in a bad habit of not challenging ourselves, to simply just show up to meetings and go through the motions. Maybe you answer a table topics question, sign up for a role that you've signed up for 50 times before, and we don't always push ourselves. And that is an individual challenge. I can speak for myself that, for example, when it comes to pathways, I know there's a lot of room for growth. I haven't really explored the pathways program as deeply as I could. And so that's something on me. That is the opportunity that I have, and I need to take advantage of that. But I will say there's a level of comfort that happens with people who have been attending Toastmasters for a very long time. And it's important to get outside of that comfort zone, to challenge ourselves. And so that is one potential negative. My number 1 negative is the comfort, the familiarity with the Toastmaster structure. For anyone who wants to be taking on hour-long speeches, keynote speeches, we know that Toastmasters is always 5 to 7 minutes. So if we get you too used to that type of situation, it may be hard to expand and to go beyond Toastmasters, but that would be the number 1 negative, is comfort. I hope you've appreciated me being as transparent as possible about the 5 best things and the 5 worst things when it comes to Toastmasters. Clearly, the positives outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. I talk about Toastmasters so often on this channel. It is one of the best things that you can do to improve your public speaking skills. And the negatives were tough to come up with. I had to be very nitpicky, but I see the reality that not everyone chooses to join Toastmasters. So I wanted to give you all of the information up front of why you may be off-put by the meeting concept, but I hope that you can get past those negatives and really explore Toastmasters, because it's one of the best ways for you to improve your public speaking skills. Did this video provide you with any value? If it did, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and comment below. What has your experience been with Toastmasters? Are you brand new? Have you been a Toastmaster for a long time? Do you agree with any of my points on the best or the worst side? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you on the next video.